With great contemplation and reflection, we call Madame Curie a transformational leader. Our vision of a transformational leader is someone who facilitates collaborative relationships by exchanging her charisma for the emotional allegiance of her followers, her motivation for the aspiration of her followers, exchanges her intellectual challenge for task completion by her followers, her attention for the reliability of her followers, and her competence for the performance of her followers. Marie Curie embodies the principles from this list, and it begins with her birth. On November 7, 1867, Russian-controlled Warsaw welcomed into the world a beautiful Polish child who would change the fate of many soldiers, scientists, and scholars worldwide. Affectionately called Manya, Maria, Marie, and M, she challenged the Russian authorities by perfecting her Russian accent and memorizing their political hierarchies, while secretly learning literature, science, maths, and the history of her own Polish people. Her pleasant demeanor and dedication to her education made her a mentor to her classes and helped her to gain the scholarships needed for her scientific research. This is one of the reasons Marie Curie embodies the transformational leadership principle of idealized influence and charisma. Scholars liked her despite her gender, age, and socioeconomic status in a time when the scientific field was dominated by older men. Her husband met her in a lab and was smitten by a woman who felt no restriction because of her gender and lack of money. Her master's thesis topic would prove revolutionary and ultimately contributed to a fundamental shift in scientific understanding. For scientists and the public, she is best known as the discoverer of the radioactive elements polonium and radium, a key to the basic change in our understanding of matter and energy. Her work not only influenced the development of fundamental science, but also ushered in a new era in medical research and treatment, earning her 2 Nobel Prizes. Marie had married Pierre Curie, a fellow researcher, in 1894. Together, they discovered polonium, named after Marie's native Poland, and radium, named after its uses in radioactivity. Both elements are alpha particle emitters, and the discoveries allowed many scientific experiments to come out of logistics hiatus. These scientific discoveries demonstrate Marie's intellectual stimulation best. As a professor, she inspired her students to greatness. According to one student, Maria didn't dazzle us. She reassured us, attracted us, held us with her simplicity, her desire to be useful to us, the sense she had of both our ignorance and our possibilities. Her children continued her legacy in the sciences. Her daughter Eve felt compelled to write her biography to help others to understand her mother's motivations and contributions. By 1914, Marie had created the first radiology center for injured soldiers. She adapted to the needs of trench warfare and created portable X-ray machines. She secured the funding for these little Curies, and she personally trained over 150 nurses to use them on the battlefield. Constructive transactions are important to transformational leadership. Being inspirational is important, but the leader must also see it through. Marie Curie saw a need, harnessed her knowledge and materials to address that need, and oversaw all the logistics that led to saving soldiers' lives. She had positive rapport with most workmates and students. She was a good teacher and mother. After her husband passed away, her life was riddled with scandal. The press followed her and reported on every bow. She was not well liked in France, being Polish without her French husband as her buffer to society. She battled depression and illness. However, once famous for her war effort, she was offered several prizes by the French government and refused all. Marie Curie always bounced back. Despite a lifetime of sickliness and unfortunate run-ins with the press, Marie pressed on and continued to be influential throughout her entire life. In this and in all of life, Marie adapted to what was necessary. She homeschooled her children to ensure a high level of education and to make sure they all made their own contributions. When science needed an element to emit alpha particles, she discovered 2 and donated the money to more research. She was also careful to cite previous researchers and give credit when due. When the war needed medical attention on the field, she deployed and inspired others to donate their time and money. When her university students felt marginalized, she inspired them to investigate and test. According to her daughter Eve, the rest of her life revolves itself into a kind of perpetual giving. To the war wounded she gave her devotion and her health. Later on she gave her advice, her wisdom, and all the hours of her time to her pupils, to future scientists who came to her from all parts of the world. Marie's 1934 death did not stop the fruits of her leadership. Her children continued her legacy and fought exhaustively against their mother's work being used for weaponry. Marie Curie's influence is seen worldwide today. You can see her status as a scientist symbolized by the various schools, buildings, and scholarships in her and her children's names. Her transformational leadership transcends the centuries and influences young scientists and scholars everywhere. This has been Marie Curie, Transformational Leader. Thank you for watching our presentation.